The waiting room smelled faintly of antiseptic, its harsh brightness magnifying every tear on Emily Carter's face. At just 7 years old, she clutched her mother's coat sleeve, trembling. "He promised he wouldn't hurt," she whispered again, her small voice quivering with betrayal. Her mother, Laura Carter, felt her heart tighten. She hadn't asked too many questions in the car on the way over. Emily had been inconsolable, and Laura's priority was getting her examined. When the triage nurse called their name, Laura guided Emily gently into the exam room. Dr. Thomas Miller, a pediatric specialist at St. Joseph's Hospital in Portland, leaned down to Emily's level, speaking softly. "Can you tell me what happened, sweetheart?" Emily didn't answer. She bit her lip, eyes darting toward the door as if expecting someone to walk in. Laura tried to explain. She came home from playing at the neighbor's house. She was shaking, crying, and then she said that. The doctor's demeanor shifted subtly, compassion edged with professional alertness. He asked for Laura's consent to perform an exam. Laura nodded, her stomach twisting with dread. When Emily reluctantly allowed herself to be checked, bruises on her upper arms told part of the story. They weren't deep, but they were deliberate. The doctor's jaw tightened. He documented everything carefully. "We're going to involve Child Protective Services," he told Laura quietly. Laura felt the room spin. The neighbor, Greg Turner, had always been friendly, offering to let Emily play with his daughter in their backyard, even walking the kids to school sometimes. She remembered how he'd wave across the street, smile with easy warmth. Could it really be him? Emily's words replayed in Laura's mind like a broken record. He promised he wouldn't hurt. The hospital's protocol was swift. Within an hour, a social worker and a police officer were in the room. Emily clung to her mother, whispering fragments, piecing together a story. The officer listened closely, his notepad steady, his tone calm but resolute. When they left the hospital, a K-9 unit was already dispatched to the Turner property. Laura, numb, held Emily close in the back seat of the patrol car. The little girl was too drained to cry anymore. Neither of them was prepared for what the police dog was about to uncover in the quiet suburban home. The Turner house sat at the corner of Hawthorne Drive, its white picket fence and manicured lawn giving off an image of harmless suburban perfection. Detective Rachel Simmons, a seasoned officer with the Portland Police Department, approached the front yard as the K-9 handler unclipped his German Shepherd's leash. "This is Rex," the handler said. "If there's anything inside that doesn't belong, or anyone, he'll find it." Greg Turner answered the door with a confused smile. "Officers? What's this about?" His sandy hair was slightly mussed, his plaid shirt tucked neatly into jeans. He looked like the picture of an ordinary father. Simmons introduced herself. "We're investigating a report. We'll need to ask you some questions and conduct a search." Turner's smile faltered, but he stepped aside. "Of course, but I think there's some mistake." Rex bounded in, nose low to the ground, tail stiff with focus. The house looked unremarkable at first glance. Children's toys scattered in the living room, framed family photos on the walls. Turner's wife, Dana, appeared from the kitchen, frowning. "What's going on?" Simmons kept her tone firm but calm. "We just need to look around." Rex moved quickly, sniffing the carpet, circling near the hallway. Then he froze, ears pricked, and padded straight toward the basement door. A low growl rumbled in his throat. "Basement's just storage," Turner said quickly, stepping forward. His voice carried an edge now, taut and nervous. "Step back, sir," the handler ordered. Turner hesitated before complying, his hands twitching at his sides. The basement door creaked open. A smell hit them first, stale, metallic, and sour. Rex surged down the stairs, barking sharply. Simmons and two other officers followed. What they found stopped them cold. In the dim basement, against the far wall, was a small mattress, soiled and crumpled, with children's clothing strewn around it. A camera tripod stood nearby, its lens pointed toward the mattress. On a workbench lay several rolls of duct tape and a box of unopened candy. Simmons' chest tightened. She turned to the officers. "Get forensics. Now." Above them, Turner's voice rose in protest, but the sound of handcuffs snapping shut drowned him out. The discovery in the basement set off a chain reaction of investigations. Forensics teams swept through the Turner home for hours, cataloging every detail. Officers carried out boxes of evidence: hard drives, memory cards, notebooks. At the station, Greg Turner sat in an interrogation room, his posture collapsing under the fluorescent lights. Detective Simmons watched him through the glass, noting every nervous twitch. When she finally stepped inside, she carried a folder filled with photos taken in the basement. She laid them out on the table one by one. "Greg, we know this isn't just about bruises. We've seen the setup. We've recovered recordings. You need to start talking." Turner's facade cracked. His eyes darted from the photos to the camera in the corner of the room. "It wasn't supposed to go that far," he muttered. "I promised her." His voice trailed into a whisper. "You promised Emily?" Simmons pressed. He buried his face in his hands. "I told her it was just a game. She trusted me." The confession was partial but damning. Prosecutors would have more than enough to charge him with multiple counts of child abuse, possession of illicit material, and unlawful restraint. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Emily clung to her mother's hand while the social worker explained what would happen next. "You both will need counseling," she said gently. "The court will ensure Greg Turner never comes near your daughter again." Laura nodded, though her mind was far from calm. She had trusted her neighbor, welcomed his family into her home, even sent Emily to play with his daughter without hesitation. Now, guilt gnawed at her. How had she missed the signs? Emily stirred, her small voice breaking the silence. "Mommy, am I safe now?" Laura hugged her tightly, tears welling up. "Yes, sweetheart. You're safe. I promise." Across town, Turner sat in his cell, his life as the affable neighbor crumbling into ash. The police dog's instincts had shattered the facade of normalcy, exposing the darkness hidden beneath. For the Carters, healing would be long and difficult. But that night, as Laura watched her daughter finally drift into a peaceful sleep, she knew the worst was over. The promise that mattered now was her own, the unbreakable vow to protect Emily, no matter the cost.